Sahih al-Bukhari 861. Narrated Ibn Abbas.
Once I came riding a Shias and I, then, had just attained the age of puberty.
Allah's Messenger was leading the people in prayer at Mina facing no wall.
I passed in front of the row and let loose the Shias for grazing and joined the row, and no one objected to my deed.
Sahih al-Bukhari 862. Narrated Aisha. Once Allah's Messenger delayed the Isha prayer till Umar informed him that the women and children had slept.
Then Allah's Messenger came out and said, "None from amongst the dwellers of earth have prayed this prayer except you." In those days none but the people of Medina prayed.
Sahih al-Bukhari 863. Narrated Abdur Rahman bin Abi Iz. A person asked Ibn Abbas, "Have you ever presented yourself at the Id prayer with Allah's apostle?" He replied, "Yes. And had it not been for my kinship position with the Prophet, it would not have been possible for me to do so, for he was too young." The Prophet went to the mark near the house of Kathir bin As-Salt and delivered a sermon. He then went towards the women.
He advised and reminded them and asked them to give alms. So the woman would bring her hand near her neck and take off her necklace and put it in the garment of Bilal. Then the Prophet and Bilal came to the house.
Sahih al-Bukhari 864. Narrated Aisha. Once Allah's Messenger delayed the Isha prayer till Umar informed him that the women and children had slept.
The Prophet came out and said, "None except you from amongst the dwellers of earth is waiting for this prayer." In those days, there was no prayer except in Medina, and they used to pray the Isha prayer between the disappearance of the twilight and the first third of the night.
Sahih al-Bukhari 865. Narrated Ibn Umar.
The Prophet said, "If your women ask permission to go to the mosque at night, allow them."
Sahih al-Bukhari 866. Narrated Salama.
The wife of the Prophet, in the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, the women used to get up when they finished their compulsory prayers with taslim. The Prophet and the men would stay on at their places as long as Allah will. When the Prophet got up, the men would then get up.
Sahih al-Bukhari 867. Narrated Aisha.
When Allah's Messenger finished the far prayer, the women would leave covered in their sheets and were not recognized owing to the darkness.
Sahih al-Bukhari 868. Narrated Abdullah bin Abi Qatada al-Ansari.
My father said, Allah's Messenger said, "Whenever I stand for prayer, I want to prolong it, but on hearing the cries of a child, I would shorten it as I dislike to put its mother in trouble."
Sahih al-Bukhari 869. Narrated Aisha.
Had Allah's Messenger known what the women were doing, he would have forbidden them from going to the mosque as the women of Bani Israel had been forbidden.
Yahya bin Sa'id, a sub-narrator, asked Amra, another sub-narrator, "Were the women of Bani Israel forbidden?" She replied, "Yes." Sahih al-Bukhari 870. Narrated Salama. Whenever Allah's Messenger completed the prayer with taslim, the women used to get up immediately, and Allah's Messenger would remain at his place for someone before getting up. The sub-narrator, Az-Zuri, said, "We think, and Allah knows better, that he did so that the women might leave before men could get in touch with them."